Hello, this is Lama Rigze Conjonandro, your friend, saying hello. And I want to give a message that I'm sure I will have to remind many times. One, because this is still a very small channel, and two, because this is will be missed by people, and three, because it's really hard to grasp for a lot of people. Because most people get into religion because they want something to hold on to. So this goes into interdependence and emptiness. But I won't go into those topics. I'm just saying this is where this opinion comes from, is the understanding of those things. If you don't understand concepts and how they function, you will not understand Buddhism. And I mean that in a functional way. You will not know how to use Buddhism to better yourself. If you don't understand concepts and how they function, Buddhism can become as much of a prison as any other belief system. At that point, you are inflexible. If you hear rules, regulations, ideas about how to conduct, what to do, how to do it, what implements you need, what rituals you have to perform, when you have to perform them, how you should engage cutting your hair, how you should engage with where you wear your clothes, how you wear your clothes, what morality to engage in, what morality not to engage in, what's permissible or impermissible on both sides. Sometimes what's permissible isn't really a good idea. Sometimes what's non-permissible should be permissible in given situations. And so concepts are essentially conditional. And concepts are tools. They're meant to help you. In Buddhism, we use concepts to help ourselves. Concepts fundamentally are narrative, and they are the summation of what makes up the ego. So ideas and the ego are not two separate things. We use the ideation of the ego to untie the ego, to unknot ourselves from the troubles of negative emotions and the fear of birth, old age, sickness, and death. But they are not essentially Buddhism. They are a way to Buddhism. Buddhism is engagement in wisdom. Wisdom does not rely on concepts. Wisdom can be approached through concepts. And that is how Dharma is taught. That is why Dharma is taught. And that is the reason there are concepts in Buddhism. But anybody, and this goes back to the Buddhism as a philosophy argument. No, it's not. Because filling your mind with concepts is not going to free you from your ego. It's not going to free you from your ideation. Filling your mind with concepts, especially if you believe that it's about gaining some sort of philosophical prowess, some sort of philosophical super knowledge that you can lord over others, that's going to increase your ego. So, no. So how do we understand concepts? We understand them as ephemeral, conditional, empty, and to be used with wisdom, to be used in a Western sense of wisdom, to be used wisely. So if you have a code of morality, if you have a, never walk, clockwise, counterclockwise around certain objects, okay? Well, if someone is sitting 4 feet to your right, just walk up to them. Don't go all the way around some large structure to talk to somebody that you need to talk to and feel, that it's an obviously neurotic behavior. It obviously means you're troubled. Obviously means that you're not relaxed. And concepts should always allow you to relax. They should always free you to relax. They shouldn't tighten you. They should discipline you. They should teach you, like, when your laziness pops up and you go, I don't really feel like it, I should, well, you should challenge that. But if what is engendered, if what comes up and what is created is fear, neuroticism, a sense of being sinful, of being wrong, um, those concepts are not helping you right now. And it doesn't mean that you can't use them in the future. Maybe they will become useful in the future. But it means that you have likely overestimated the level of your realization and you are adopting concepts that are more appropriate for a uh, bodhisattva, a realized bodhisattva. So many times people read books of conduct like Shanideva's Way, the Bodhisattva, and it's uh, don't doodle, don't trace patterns in the sand, don't play with the grass, you know, when you wish to speak, stay silent like a log of wood. You know, you can really torture someone with these ideas. You can really put them in a bad space. So, concept like believing, I met somebody who believed in fairies, okay? I completely accept. Yes, fairies may exist. That might be a thing. I have no problem with people talking to me about fairies. I have no problem with people talking to me about any supernatural thing. But the thing is, this person felt like she had to do something for them. She had to resolve whatever issues they had with her because there was some sort of, like, sort of semi-curse type problem they're having. In that case, it's like, okay, you follow that where it leads, you already have this belief structure, maybe try and do something. But then if it's again and again and again and again, it's like, ultimately the buck stops with your mentality. Ultimately the buck stops with your mind and your thoughts. If you don't have the thought that something is harmful, the evocation of anger, fear, and all other negativities will be greatly diminished. If you believe something is harmful or dangerous, the evocation of negative feelings will be greatly increased. Likewise, if you feel like something is essential, if you must do something, or if something cannot be neglected or cannot be missed, it's the hardness of these concepts, it's the lack of emptiness, the lack of understanding of the illusory nature of reality, which is concept. When you have a lack of softness in your concepts, where things are when concepts are soft, there is an ease. It should go this way. It would be better if it went this way. This is the favorable way to do things. This is if all is going according to plan, or all is going according to the prescription of a given ritual or a given holiday or what have you, then this is the best way to do it. And so we should try and do it that way. Okay, that's nice, soft, loose, relaxed concept. Don't offer something that's fallen on the ground, okay? Well, one time I'm offering something on behalf of my mother, and she doesn't have uh, the capacities that I have, but she has the capacity to cook. Well, my fault. I slipped. I dropped the cake. Okay, so I wasn't gonna not offer the cake. So I talked to the Lama about it because at the time I was very much a hard concept person, and he said a little prayer and said, "Okay, go ahead." And I shouldn't have needed that. I should have been able to say that prayer on my own. Should have said, Buddhas, please forgive that this food has fallen on the ground, and please treat it like it's absolutely immaculate and, you know, generated by the highest and most pure deities with the most pure and excellent ingredients. May it be just so. You know, easy. Just an easy little bit of magic. Just trust in your ability to uh, to ask for help, ask for the Buddhas to lend their power to your given situation, and move on. Don't think about it. You know, you make a mistake. Well, I confess I made that mistake. You say whatever prayer or words of power that you feel are appropriate. Move on. Don't think about it. Don't beat yourself over the head with it. Keep your concepts soft, relaxed. Okay? So if you have very hard viewpoints of musts and must nots, if you have very hard viewpoints of things absolutely exist, the Buddhas are absolutely there. They're not merely representations of my own internal capacity. They're absolutely there. Right? And this goes into another topic which I don't want to get too far into, but in Buddhism, absolutely everything is a paradox. Paradox. In Buddhism, everything is absolutely a paradox. You know, everything is created by causes and conditions. Everything is empty. Uh, you know, the Lama is the teacher who gives you the teaching. The Lama is your basic internal nature. So everything contradicts itself. Morality should be followed impeccably. We should always do good, however minor. We should always uh, restrict negativity, however minor. Also, all activities are empty and illusory. Karma is absolute. Karma is empty and illusory. Why? Why the paradox? Because if something is true and not true simultaneously, the mind cannot engage it. It can't use it as a tool to rationalize the behavior of the personality. So you see people on one side of the fence, the other. Some people, they're very wise and they understand everything is empty. And so it doesn't matter what I do, I can do this or that, and it's all empty and no problem. Um, that you're dealing with an absolute and an absolutist, and they're going to make a lot of negative karma for themselves that they'll suffer from, for sure. For sure. If someone's like, karma is absolute and you must never do this and you never do that. It's like, okay, your karma is so much harsher, so much more difficult to brace and bear than somebody who understands that, yes, like, of course, causes and conditions exist, but also they are empty and illusory, and so they needn't be taken overly seriously. So this notion of the middle way, of the balance between the extremes of absolute materiality and nihilism, is the practice of Buddhism. And it all has to do with how you apprehend your concepts. And my basic advice is to tell people concepts are tools. Pick them like you would pick your tools, right? If you need to eat soup, then pick up a spoon. If you're not eating soup, you're eating a steak, then use a knife and fork. Use your concepts like you use your tools. Secondly, concepts, when it comes to the spiritual tool aspect of concepts are wholly based on the level of your realization. So if you're reading a book like Shanideva's Way, the Bodhisattva, or you're reading other books which are prescriptions and proscriptions of morality, really ponder who is being addressed. Who are we talking to? In the case of Shantideva, it's a bodhisattva talking to himself about what he expects from himself. He's not talking about Joe or Jane down the street. He's not talking about a normal human being. He's talking about somebody who has an extraordinary amount of concentration, an extraordinary amount of knowledge of how Buddhism functions, and an extraordinary amount of faith and renunciation. And so what is possible for him is impossible for you. There are things that he can arrest mentally, spiritually, energetically, that you cannot arrest. You know, if you're suffering from severe mental afflictions which cause you to get angry, reading, every time someone gives rise to anger, that all the goodness of 1,000 aeons is destroyed, and feeling the remorse of destroying 1,000 aeons of good karma every time you get angry is a real waste of time and going to cause you terrible suffering. Thinking, I just got angry. I know this is something I would rather not be doing. I'm consciously acknowledging getting angry. I confess it to whatever powers or entity or whatever, or even to myself. I'm confessing that this is wrong and I should try and stop. And I acknowledge that I likely won't stop immediately, that this likely won't be the last time that I get angry. This is a very gentle, soft way. Some people say, like, oh, you should make a solemn vow never to get angry again. Okay, well, I have had very legitimate people suggest that to me about flaws I've had. And my immediate thought is, that's a really good way to break a vow. One should make vows that one has confidence in. You know, don't make a vow that you know in your heart you're going to smash. You know, that's a cause of great trouble. And so again, all this has to do with is just being flexible with your concepts and appropriating the concepts, the goals, the tools that are appropriate to your level of realization. So one of the most primary things that I would tell any student right off the bat is we should all say refuge 3 times a day. So before you embrace some super practice, before you embrace some huge amount of accumulation of one thing or another, are you saying refuge 3 times a day? If not, then give it a shot. Try, put an alarm on your phone. Say refuge 3 times a day. So 9 recitations in total. Just do that much. And if you can keep that, then move on to something else. If you can keep that, and you're doing something else, that's fine too. See? Doesn't mean you're doing something wrong if you don't do that. It's just a suggestion of, if everything was ideal, you'd say refuge 3 times a day. If it's not ideal, that's fine. No problem. You know? It's like, okay, like, you know, oh, I walked into the temple with my shoes on. Okay, no problem. Don't beat yourself up. Just take your shoes off, walk outside, leave them outside, and go about your day. You know? If it feels that bad and you really feel troubled, then confess it and leave it alone. Let it go. Okay? Don't let it destroy your whole practice. Don't let it destroy your hour or your day or your week. Oh, I made this mistake. It's just showing you that the primary thing that you must do is soften your concepts. Relax, be open-minded, and accept trying as the ideal. Doing is not the ideal. Doing is exceptional. You know, doing things properly is exceptional. Trying is great. It's wonderful. You know, it's a very good thing to try. It's an excellent thing to do. It's a good thing to try. And trying means failing most or some of the time. But just keeping in mind that ideally I would or would not do this particular thing. So choose your concepts, choose the ideas that you have wisely, based on yourself. Also, do not force this on other people. If people have hard concepts and you don't think they should have those hard concepts, that's a hard concept. And you'll torture yourself with other people's minds. And that should probably be its own video. But, you know, do it for yourself. Relax. If someone else scolds you, oh, you shouldn't do that, you go, yeah. You know, just patronize them. Oh, okay, thank you. They're minding your mind. They're letting your behavior disturb them. It's a sign that they haven't gotten the most uh, basic beginnings of Buddhism, which is to soften concepts, to stop believing so strongly in ideas. You know, everyone in Buddhism, if you're serious about Buddhism, or even just spiritual progress in general, you should always have 50% hard ideas. You know, like malleable, not water, not fall through your fingers, not hard as a brick. Everything should have play. Everything should have a bend to it. Because that way, concepts will not cause negativities to be engendered. And this goes even if you're following concepts. If you have a very hard concept of, oh, I should always do this, and you manage to always do this, pride is probably going to follow you. You know, if you think, oh, it's good if people do this, it's nothing to be proud of. It's nothing special. It's just a good thing to do. Your mind will remain stable. And stability of mind is 90 to 80% of the game. Almost all of Buddhist practices are merely meant to bring you to stability of mind, even the extraordinary ones. The last step is pranjana paramita, or, transcendent wisdom. And that only comes when the mind calms down enough to renounce basic pleasure and to cease to run away from the ingrained biological terrors. If the ingrained biological terrors are still haunting you and the ingrained biological pleasures are still goading you, then it's very unlikely that you're going to recognize your inner peace. So, the easiest way to get there is to make sure that your concepts are malleable, flexible, and that you adopt the concepts which are uh, most suited to you and easy to, or that are doable, that you can do. And then you pick them up as you go. You read Shani Deva, and you're like, oh, I can do that one. I've actually progressed enough to where I can see where the reason that he's saying not to do this or not to do that, and I actually feel like when I do that, it doesn't feel right. Okay, congratulations. You've graduated to the point where you should probably adopt that particular conduct. If you're like, uh, that's going to, if it's going to cause you to dramatically change outside of what is instinctual to you, it's probably too advanced for you. Okay, so I hope all that makes sense. I love you very much. Concho na namdro, lamarigze, saying goodbye. I love you very much. Please like and subscribe. Very small channel. Trying to make it a big channel someday. Wishing, hoping it will be something someday. Please help me. Please subscribe. I'm begging. Okay. Have a beautiful day.